Quinn Hillier today in the American Spectator. Conservatives may not realize just how difficult it might be to recover from this week's elections. Too many conservatives think that we've seen all this before, 1964, 1974, 1992, and we know how to handle it. Well, we're not dealing with the same sorts of opponents today. These new Alinskyites who are taking over the White House, combined with the most leftist congressional leadership in memory, will not let us play by the same rules under which conservatives recovered from those earlier debates. They will end debacles. They will try to drastically tilt the playing field, seed our side of the field with landmines, and in short, rig the process to make it next to impossible for the political right or Republicans to recover. And they're likely to succeed in at least some of these designs. It will begin with their efforts to secure a filibuster-proof majority of 60 senators, including the 2 independents. And by the way, Lieberman wants a confab with Reid. Reid wants a confab with Lieberman. Reid is going to threaten Lieberman with his committee chairmanship, Homeland Security. Lieberman's probably going to say, I don't want to lose that. I'm with you, Harry. I'll make sure you have your 60 votes. And yes, all the Democrat senators, with the possible exception of Ben Nelson of Nebraska, are liberals. Lieberman is a fine man. He's a liberal. He's an independent. Bernie Sanders, whatever, independent, socialist. Next, watch what happens if they regularly can't peel off enough Republicans or hold their own semi-fair-minded people like Nelson and Lieberman to overcome whatever filibuster attempts Republicans do mount. Watch for an assault on the filibuster itself. Watch how they use as precedent the GOP nuclear constitutional option on judges in 2005. Except instead of just using it for judges, watch them use it against all filibusters. It's really easy. You make the ruling from the chair that the filibuster is out of order for some reason. Instruct the parliamentarian to rule in their favor. Win the appeal of the parliamentarian's ruling by simple majority vote. Then watch the courts pronounce it an internal matter of the legislative branch and thus outside of courtroom purview. And bam, they've got the filibuster. Watch a cheerleading establishment media actually back these lefty maneuvers. It's all in the name of one-man, one-vote democracy, don't you know? The filibuster once served its purpose, they'll say, but as a vestige of Southern massive resistance to integration, it's now being used for massive resistance to the first black president, which invalidates it as a legitimate tool. Watch the left use these tactics and others to pass even more liberalized voting laws, an open invitation to even more fraud that is more creative, easier to hide, and less challengeable in court. Other ways the Obama axis will tilt the playing field. Card check legislation to eliminate secret ballots in unionizing and to force union victories in contract negotiations. Provision after provision giving favors to the trial bar so it can sue enemies into submission. Only when the time is right and the ground or air has been well prepared will come the granddaddy of all fights, the reenactment of the misnamed fairness doctrine. They'll be clever, too. They'll pick their spot. They'll wait till Limbaugh or Levin, Hannity says something innocent they can twist out of context and call hate speech, and then they'll highlight some schoolyard fight where a member of a victim group gets the worst of it, as if the attack were caused by talk radio. Make it hate radio. They'll call it hate radio, which will be the new moniker that the fifth column Fourth Estate media hangs on the talkmeisters. And even before imposing the fairness doctrine, they'll use the FCC in other ways to put a muffler on their opponents. The erosion of conservative rights will be incremental. Each one will have its own justification. Each one will be supported by the establishment media. Each one will be timed so as to allow the general public to become accustomed to it, to accept it as unremarkable, or even to come to regard it as a public good for the sake of keeping conservative troublemakers from fomenting disorder. These are all the things that Alinskyites do. These are the sorts of tactics used by Acorn, at whose conferences Obama himself regularly taught seminars on power. These are the sorts of policies favored by the academic left, Obama's old milieu. the policies that favor speech codes and stolen campus newspapers, and the firing of faculty for offensive remarks. Now, conservatives have fought things like this for years already, but they've never fought it while the left controlled so many of the levers of power. And certainly not when the left was led by such a charismatic and near cult-inspiring leader who was so smart, so well steeped in these stratagems, and so fully supported by a media whose legs tingle and run warm every time he waxes eloquent. It'll take a very focused, very intelligent, very skillful action by conservatives to stop this creeping subversion of a free society. This is a whole different political battlefield than any on which we've fought before, and we haven't yet found our Omar Bradley. That's Quinn Hillier today in the American Spectator. Here is Frank Grieve from McClatchy newspaper. Now, this is the drive-bys. Quinn Hillier is one of us. How will President Obama deploy his Internet army? A powerful new lobbying force coming to town, Obama's triumphant army of 3.1 million Internet-linked donors and volunteers. See, Snerdley, it's not just the 1.9 volunteers. It's the Internet donors and a mass email thanking them. Written moments before his Grant Park speech, Obama put them on notice. We have a lot to do to get our country back on track. I'll be in touch soon about what comes next. This, again, aimed at all of you dunces out there who think that we're going to get a centrist government out of Obama. How Obama will use these laptop cadres is unclear. So is the extent to which they'll rally behind his priorities. Joe Trippi, the internet politics guru whose computer geeks made Howard Dean what he was, offers a provocative and educated guess. Joe Trippi predicted that Obama would use his forces first and foremost to intimidate congressional foes of his agenda, then to rally his allies and forge one of the most powerful presidencies in American history. Because his internet operation was miles ahead of McCain's, Obama's liberal to libertarian electronic activists are in a position to dominate the new political medium, much as conservative Republicans dominate talk radio. We really know who Obama's community leaders are, issue by issue, said Thomas Genzimer, the managing director of Blue State Digital, the Washington-based mobilizer of online communities. Trippi said this: Obama will be able to say, these are the 10 members of Congress standing in our way on health care. Basically, it'll be the president and the people united, with some members of Congress in between, which won't be a very comfortable place to be. Let me translate this for you. 3.1 volunteers and internet donors, all continuing to get blast emails from the Obama campaign. The Obama presidency will continue in campaign mode, just as Clinton's did. What they're going to do is find somebody to send the emails out on whatever issue it is. Obama wants tax rate to 90%. Obama wants whatever he wants. If he runs into trouble, he tells these 3.1 million people, we got these 10 Congress, it could be Democrats, we got these 10 Congress and these 2 senators, they're providing us problems, we need you to really go after them. Here comes the internet onslaught. And we've seen how Harry Reid and Pelosi bent over, grabbed the ankles for MoveOn.org and Daily Cause. But I far believe most of this than I believe this silly notion that Obama is going to be a harmless little centrist. Of course, he knows he can't go very far. The economy's so bad. He's not going to be able to raise taxes. There's nothing to tax. There's no capital gains to tax. This is why we spent 2 years learning who Obama is. This is why we spent years learning about his past and who his alliances are with, the things the drive-bys we're not interested in, the things McCain were not interested in. This is serious stuff. Quinn Hillier's right. You know, we've not faced a playing field like this in these previous instances.